Welcome back to the ACC Kickoff. We've got another guest. I am excited to announce head coach of Syracuse, Dino Babers. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. This is an honor.
Awesome. I also know it's your birthday, so happy birthday.
Mahalo.
Go ahead and put that out there. All right, Coach. Now you've had
Coach
your
is
run.
25 again.
Exactly. You've had your run in the media circuit so far today, and one comment that stood out to me today was that you said this is the best O-line you've ever had. How imperative is that going to be for your offense this year?
You know, hopefully it's going to pay off big dividends for us when you start talking about playing football in the ACC and then playing football in the ACC Atlantic.
Right.
It may not be as productive as everyone else sees it, but I know that we're as deep there as we've been. We think we can go at least 8 guys deep. We think we've got 5 fantastic starters. And now we at least got some guys that can show up. And let's see what we can do, see if we can push some cars around, move some mountains. I call those guys the elephants. I said the lions are not the king of the jungle. The elephants are the king of the jungle.
I like that.
There you go.
We're going to see them play, Buck.
So, Coach, you know, you can talk about your offense, and I think with Dungy, DeVito, the quarterback position, but I want to kind of transition to defense. Because when I saw you guys beat Syracuse that night in Syracuse, it was Paris Bennett, Zaire Franklin, Jonathan Thomas. You lose those guys. How do you replace the productivity in that linebacking crew that I thought was outstanding that night?
Yeah, the win over Clemson on that Friday night, I believe it was the 13th. You can check it. I'm not sure.
It was.
I'm not quite sure about
Not quite
that.
sure?
No, not quite sure. But the defense was outstanding that night. And obviously, anytime, you know, they had a mishap of having their quarterback get hurt the first half. I believe Chris Slayton got a hold of one of them and had a nice sack on him, and then they had to bring in the backup quarterback. But anytime you get a quality win over a football team like Clemson, you've got to play defense. I think our defense is going to be better than it was last year. Now, we're not as experienced as we were, and we need to get lucky early. But I think we're extremely talented on the defensive front. I think that we're really talented on the back end, but we're so inexperienced at the linebackers that it's hard for me to get really boastful about how good they can be, but I think we have a chance to be good.
Until you see them actually in live competition against yourself and then
against opponents. Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, Coach, I know we transitioned to defense, but I'm going to bring it back to offense again. Dungy led your team last year in rushing yards. At the quarterback position, how much of that is something that you want to see change and become more of the running backs really carrying that load, and what's been your focus in changing that?
Well, that's what we need to get to, and that's what I think the offensive line can get us to. If we can get our running backs to lead us in rushing and our quarterback just to be on the rushing list,
right,
I think that's going to be more productive for us, where we can get more wins and more big wins, especially in the month of November where we had difficulties. When you're going out there and you're playing in the weather elements, you can't always expect your quarterback to bail you out. And what we need is nice, good, tough yards from our backs, and then every blue moon pull that thing and let our quarterback go in space and see if somebody can run him down or bring him down one-on-one.
I've heard you talk about November a couple of times, not just this year, but last year, even at this event, we talked about it. What have you guys done differently to get your team to focus not just the start but the finish?
Charles, there's certain things that we're doing that I'm not going to talk about,
okay,
but I will tell you this: we are not doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
I've had enough of that. And we've got to find a way. Everybody say, well, it's injuries, your depth, you've had a lot of bad mishaps. That's true. But the definition of insanity is he's doing the same thing and expecting a different result. We're not going to do the same thing. We're going to do some different things, and hopefully the outcome will be different. And if we can get to that month fresher, okay, with more of the guys that we start the season with, I think the results will be different.
So you tell them what Homer Smith used to say: get yourself together.
Get yourself together, brother. Get yourself together.
Eddie inline, Sammy sideline can't beat you, right?
There you go. Coach, you've mentioned inexperience and your desire to see these guys play in a game-type scenario. So with the implementation of the new redshirt rule, what is your opinion of that, and how do you hope to use that to your advantage?
There's two things. I think there's an A and there's a Z to this rule. The first part of it is I think the rule is outstanding.
Yep.
And it was a rule that we really could have used last year in the month of November. We had some talented freshmen that we really wanted to play, and I'm not going to hurt a young man's career by giving up an entire season for 3 or 4 games at the end. I'm not going to do it. Some guys do it around the country. I get it, but I'm just not wired that way. Now, going to the Z of it, I think it differs every single year. So based off of where the depth of your football team is, you may have a lot of depth and you may not play freshmen in that situation. You may have a limited amount of depth, and now it gets to November and you may play those freshmen in that situation. I don't think every freshman is guaranteed 4 games of experience. I just don't think that there's 4 blowouts on everybody's schedule. They can guarantee that not only they can play the freshmen, but you got to remember, if you're fortunate enough to get that far ahead of another team, are you going to put your freshmen in, or are you going to put your backups in that you've got to get ready for November? So there's a lot of card playing going on here on how you're going to play these final hands. But I think you got to be very, very flexible. That's why I gave you the alphabet from A to Z. So you got to be very, very flexible with it, and based off of what's going on and year to year, I think that the answer will always change based off of what's going on with your football team.
And Coach, as you head into this season, what's been this time around, what's been the biggest difference that you feel in your program since the day you got there?
First year I got here, we came here, and we came here with some outstanding people to media day. Their guys look better than my guys.
I see what you mean.
Their guys look bigger than my guys.
Right.
Their guys don't look like my guys. Mm-hmm. This year, my guys look like their guys. That gets me excited. That gets me ready to go. I'm pumped up. You know, we've got young men, and people look at them and go, they look like grown men. I'm like, yeah, they're grown men on the outside. They're young men on the inside. They're grown men on the outside. So I want some more of those guys. And let's see if now that I think we match up better with some of the people we play. Got to keep them on the field. The depth is not still exactly where we want it. But I think our top 22, maybe getting to 36 or 38, is exactly the type of people we're playing.
And to that point, you mentioned the depth. Just real quick, and I know you can't get into it too much in terms of recruiting, the December signing period, how do you feel about that in terms of how it's helped you?
For our university, okay, and in our situation, it is a positive. You know, you'll get different coaches in different situations at different universities. It may not be a positive for them, but for us in our situation, it's a positive, and it may help us leapfrog. It may let us get over in the fast lane, Charles. I know about that UCLA traffic, getting over in the fast lane so you can get home. So allow us to get over in the fast lane and run some of these guys down, because some of these schools have got a fantastic head start on us in the ACC.
One last question for you, too. I know there's some stadium renovations. I heard that you don't want to let the air conditioning be put in the loud house. So tell us a little bit about that, because that's a sign of growth when they're doing things for the football program, and they're also making renovations to a Carrier Dome that's aged, but it's a loud place when you guys are playing well.
Well, we got this. We got a checklist. We let certain people talk about certain things. So they're going to do certain things to the dome. They're going to change the seating, brand new scoreboard, new facilities for the fans. You know, the bells and whistles and all that kind of good stuff. They are going to put air conditioning in the dome. I did try to get that out. And, you know,
it's no AC in the Carrier Dome.
There's no AC in the Carrier.
How about that?
A lot of the boosters, they were like, "Coach, I'm with you, but God dang, I got to sit there. We're going to have some air conditioning." So it'll be one of my favorite places to play. But maybe they'll give me the knob, and maybe I can turn it down a little bit.
There you go. They'll give you the key. All right, Coach. Well, we'll let you go. But thank you so much for chatting with us, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys put on the field this year.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back.